you drink coffee. And then you drink more coffee. And more coffee. And then on Sunday, you come to a football game. Seahawks with a 13-3 lead. And who's been nice? Seahawks leading the Rams 13-3. You been nice, Tim?
I'm always nice.
Just want to make sure.
Right? You look at me like that, like I haven't been.
Oh, we need to let Santa know.
Okay.
Well, Mark Bulger has certainly been nice for the St. Louis Rams this year. 6-0 in his 6 starts. Threw only 1 pass today before injuring his back.
Yeah, and then Jamie Martin has stepped in, and what we've seen from Martin is pretty good efficiency. 14 of 19, but we've not seen a deep ball. We've not seen him be able to stretch the field and put that ball deep to Isaac Bruce or Torrey Holt. And when you don't have the ability to push the ball deep and stretch the defense, I think you got to get your run game going. Rams right now with only 22 yards on the ground. Now, Trunk Candidate started out the game, and then he fumbled, and we haven't seen him since. And we know that Lamar Gordon is playing hurt. We know that Marshall Faulk is also playing hurt. So that's probably the reason the Rams haven't been going to the run, because remember, again, Seahawks defense last in the league against the run.
And then for Seattle, Matt Hasselbeck, their quarterback, who took over midway through the season for the injured Trent Dilfer. Hasselbeck has had a terrific 4 weeks and has thrown for 152 yards so far today.
I mean, Hasselbeck is, you have to put a smile on your face, and Jimmy Johnson referred to it earlier. Mike Holmgren put a lot behind the trade to get Hasselbeck. Hasselbeck disappointing last season, but certainly late here in this season, he has been impressive.
Troy Edwards, nice return out to the 43-yard line. Well, moments ago, our Brent Ringenbach spoke with Seahawks head coach Mike Holmgren.
Thanks, Kenny. Coach, I'm sure you feel like you had more points on the board coming into this second half, but you're able to attack the middle of the defense very well. You're going to be able to exploit that more in the second half?
Well, we hope so. What we have to do is we have to take advantage of our opportunities in the red zone 1 and not make our own mistakes. We had too many penalties. We dropped a few passes. We can be more disciplined than we were in the first half, but they're playing real hard. I like that part.
Thank you very much. Good luck in the second half, Coach. Kenny, we'll send it right back up to you.
All right, thanks, Brent. Rams start from their own 43-yard line to begin this second half, trailing by 10. And Marshall Faulk is met in the backfield by John Randall.
Well, Randall started it this season out injured as well. And here he comes right here, and you see that hand slap, the rip, and the pressure upfield, and he is on Marshall Faulk before Faulk can even think. He blows right by Frank Garcia. That's that classic John Randall hand fighting on the inside.
Loss of 4, 2nd and 14, and Martin's pass is caught for a first down. Nice catch by Torrey Holt at the Seahawks 43-yard line.
Nice catch by Holt, nice protection, but again, Kenny, when you take a look at this pass, it floats. You know what I'm saying? It floats in the air, and Torrey Holt actually has to come back to it. So it's a nice attempt to stretch the field, but I think that, you know what I'm saying? Jamie Martin still struggling a little bit with that deep ball.
Gain of 19 yards on the pass play from Martin to Holt. The pitch to Faulk. And again, he's stopped at the line, this time by John Hilliard, as we check in once again with Brent Ringenbach.
Thanks, Kenny. I caught up with Coach Martz at halftime. He said that he's satisfied with the way Jamie Martin's played it in the first half. In the second half, he said they're not going to modify the game plan at all. They're going to stick with the game plan that they have in. They wish they could run Marshall Faulk a little bit more, but since that injured ankle is hampering him a little bit, we're going to look for that to see if they can get him the ball a little bit more. Send it back up to you.
Well, it wasn't the ankle that hampered him on that last play. It was John Hilliard, who just ran right through Ernie Conwell's block. Faulk right now 7 carries for just 14 yards.
Empty backfield for the Rams on 2nd and 10. Martin looking for Torrey Holt, incomplete.
Torrey Holt was running the wrong way. See that? Torrey Holt actually got forced by Anthony Simmons back the other way across the pattern, and Simmons just knocked him off totally. So Simmons continuing to be all over the field defensively. He had 10 tackles in the first half. and he just disrupted that pass play.
3rd down and 10. Rams have to get to the 33 for a first down. 3 wide receivers. Martin looking for Isaac Bruce. It's intercepted by Reggie Tongue. Tongue still on his feet. Brings it back to midfield. His 4th interception this season and a 30-yard return.
Again, Kenny, this is about arm strength. Jamie Martin has the time. The Seahawks come with a blitz, but Marshall Faulk picks it up from the outside, and then Martin just floats this ball up there. Way too much air underneath it. And Reggie Tongue he's got to love this. Watch how much air underneath that ball. It's almost like a punt. And Tongue fields it. Seahawks ball. They've got the lead, 13-3.
Fox NFL Sunday is brought to you by Cadillac. Bold vehicles defying convention.
First and 10, Seahawks from midfield. The give to Alexander, and he gains 2 on first down.
We'll go back to the interception. Here's Isaac Bruce, and he's actually going to get to the outside of the zone here. As I said, Marshall Faulk picks up the blitz. So Martin has time, but that ball, you can see it just floats right up there. And Reggie Tongue is able to come down with it. It's just underthrown, and then it's got too much air under it.
Leading 40th turnover committed by the Rams. Hasselbeck looks to take off on 2nd and 80, fumble.
That's going to be a sack and a forced fumble for Jeff Scanina.
And it's recovered by Travis Fisher. The first Seahawks turnover. So Seattle gives it right back 2 plays after the interception by Tongue.
Well, the Seahawks protected Hasselbeck nicely in the first half, but here's Scanini. He's working on Jerry Wunsch, and he just gets the bull rush, powers right up underneath him. Scanini got that low center of gravity, and he drives him back and knocks that ball free.
Recovered by Fisher. And the Rams take over from their own 49-yard line. Three wide receivers set on first down. Martin under pressure. Complete to Faulk, who gains 2 to the Seahawks 49-yard line, setting up 2nd down and 8.
John Hilliard and Eaton had that thing figured out. Right? I mean, that's the 2nd time we've seen that screen pass thrown, and the 2nd time we've seen Chad Eaton, and this time John Hilliard is right there with him.
Second and 8 from the Seattle 49. 2 tight ends for the Rams. They empty the backfield. Ball split to the right. Martin's pass picked off by Anthony Simmons. The 3rd Rams turnover. A penalty marker after Simmons was brought down. Simmons with his 2nd interception this season.
Well, John Randall is the guy who gets the pressure on Jamie Martin. He forces him to throw off of his back foot.
Personal foul, late hit on the defense, number 52. A blow to the back of the head. 15 yards, automatic first down.
So Jamie Martin picked off for the 2nd time. His last 3 pass attempts. First Tongue, and now Simmons. Martin looks to be shaken up, working on his right arm.
He got pressure on him right away. Watch John Randall. He blows right up through Heath Irwin and puts pressure in Martin's face. But even despite the pressure, there's no way.
Penalty mark attempt as Hasselbeck was sacked by Tim Herring.
Well, there's no way, going back to that last pass, that Jamie Martin should have thrown that pass.
The officials will now sort out the flag. Herring broke through for the sack.
Holding defense number 66. 5-yard penalty. Automatic. First down.
Brian Young, defensive lineman, negates the sack by Herring.
It was interesting. Hasselbeck said to us yesterday that the challenge for his offensive line was going to be to get off of those holds, because the defensive line, Bill Kohler, who I used to play for in Atlanta, the D-line coach, that's what he teaches. He'll teach you to grab that guy and open up the lane for the blitzer.
Alexander on first down, bottled up, gains just 1.
Kenny, we'll go back, and I talked about Jamie Martin really making an ill-advised throw to his tight end here. You're going to see the coverage. If it stops right there, look at the coverage right there. There are 2 guys that are right there in front of his receiver. So despite the fact that he gets the pressure, it was not a very smart throw at all. And it wouldn't surprise me if we don't see Scott Covington, the Rams' 3rd quarterback, before this day is over.
Hasselbeck on 2nd and 9, looking for Jackson. Penalty markers come flying. Travis Fisher.
I don't know. That may be against Jackson, though.
Fisher on the coverage.
No, they're going to call that on Fisher.
Pass interference. Defense number 22. Spot foul. Automatic.
I don't know about that.
Second call on Fisher today.
Yeah, here it is right here.
So the penalty gives the Seahawks 1st and goal on the Rams' 8-yard line, leading 13-3. Sean Alexander all the way down to the 2-yard line. Gain of 6 for Alexander, who scored the game's only touchdown in the first half from 1 yard out.
And you can see the intensity that Sean Alexander runs right up the middle. Again, down here in the red zone is where he gets the most excited.
Just 1 touchdown away from tying Chris Warren's team record of 15 touchdowns in 1 season. Alexander stopped on the 1.
Well, Alexander has had some success today against this Rams defense. The Rams, on the other hand, you see what Alexander and the Seattle's done, 4.1. The Rams, on the other hand, offensively have just been abysmal with their run game against a run defense that came into this game last in the league.
3rd and goal. Alexander is in for the touchdown, his 15th rushing touchdown of the season, and that ties the club record set by Chris Warren back in 1995. 15 rushing touchdowns for Sean Alexander.
Now, people have suggested that Sean Alexander needs to run harder and tougher. He runs hard and tough on this. Watch him run right through Kim Herring. Herring actually gets blasted by Sean Alexander. And again, Alexander is at his best when he's down near the goal line. Who did he say Tatelli scored for? Nelly?
Nelly, who was on his TV show recently. Recording start. The Seahawks have scored 10 of their 20 points off Ram turnovers.
Really good pair of sophomore defensive ends that promise to put some heat on Sims.
Troy Edwards on the return for the Rams. Out to the 33-yard line. 21 yards on the return. Looks like Martin is all right. Beautiful downtown Seattle. Tremendous new stadium. Marshall Faulk hurdles, but does not pick up anything. May have lost a yard on the play as the Rams trailing by 17, and Jamie Martin 2 interceptions his last 3 pass attempts.
Well, the Rams need to put some points on the board because the Seahawks have taken those turnovers and turned them into points.
10 points off 3 Rams turnovers. Alexander, his second touchdown today. Empty backfield. Penalty markers on 2nd and 11.
Well, Mike Holmgren talked about his team's penalties coming out after the halftime, but the Seahawks only have 3 for 15 yards. Rams have 10 penalties for 92. 3 key penalties on that last drive.
Number 65, 5-yard penalty, remains 2nd down.
Frank Garcia the penalty. We check in with James Brown.
Penalty on this play, the play of the day. New York, opening play of the second half. Collins to Tiki Barber, back to Collins, play flicker up top, 82 yards. That to Amani Toomer. The New York Giants victory now puts them in position. If they beat Philadelphia next Saturday on Fox, the Giants are in the playoffs. Back to Kenny Albert and Tim Green.
All right, JB, and how about Jim Fossil? Giants now 6-2 since he took over the play calling.
Yeah, there's no question that Fossil taking over the controls has rejuvenated that whole team.
Martin rolling right, complete to a wide open Ricky Prohl, who came back to make the catch out at the 42-yard line. A gain of 15.
Boy, Martin really got crunched by Tim Terry. Terry comes all the way from the backside. Watch him here. He worked through Marshall Faulk. And I got to tell you, there are a lot of quarterbacks in the league getting that hit would have gotten a penalty, would have drawn the flag too. Because Tim Terry, crunches him, he hits him in the head. I mean, we've seen it where they've brushed their helmet, a quarterback's helmet, the flag comes. But when you're the backup or the backup's backup, you don't get the flags that the stars get. You just don't.
Instead, you have to attempt to pick up the first down on 3rd and 2, and Martin does as he completes to Holt, who makes his 4th catch of the day for a gain of 5.
And Mike Martin said that, or it was reported that they weren't going to change their game plan, but they are having to change their game plan. They cannot push the ball deep downfield with Jamie Martin, not consistently. We've seen him have some miscues and some underthrown balls deep, so they've got to do what they're doing right now, the short passing game, and then hope that Isaac Bruce and Torrey Holt can have some run after the catch.
From the 46-yard line, Martin over the middle. Holt climbs the ladder and makes the catch down at the Seahawks 37.
And a beautiful catch it is by Torrey Holt, who struggled a little bit this season, especially over the last 4 weeks. He runs this in route here. Sean Springs has the coverage. It's not a great thrown ball, but it's good enough for Torrey Holt to make a big catch. And Mike Martz told him last week, he said, listen, you've got to stop. I know you're a team captain and you're taking that job seriously, but you've got to stop worrying about other people, worry about yourself, your game, lead by example. That's what he did last week.
5 catches today for Holt. Isaac Bruce has only 1. There's his second. Another Rams first down as Bruce gains 16.
These are nice passes, nice inside patterns that Jamie Martin is comfortable with. You can see it. He's not having to throw a deep out cut. He's not having to throw a deep post or a go route. Just slant those wide receivers to the inside or go to the shorter passes to the tight ends and running backs.
Martin 4 for 4 on this drive, 52 yards. Looking Isaac Bruce in the end zone. No flags. Ken Lucas on the coverage.
Well, it looked to me like Ken Lucas and Isaac Bruce got tangled up there in the end zone. Lucas, good position, excellent reaction. Yep, Lucas actually slips. But again, that ball just underthrown a little bit, Kenny. And that's not Jamie Martin's strike zone. His strike zone is toward in the center. This drive, he's been good. They've kept the passes in the middle of the field here.
Off the play fake to Falk. Martin complete to Holt. And Torrey Holt wrestled out of bounds at the 12-yard line. Gain of 9 on Holt's 6th reception.
Well, the Rams are on the move, and that's a good sign. The thing that's really killed them today hasn't been necessarily their efficiency, but their miscues. They started out, Trump-Candidate fumbled this ball early on, and Seattle got points. And then Martin tried to throw it to the outside and deep, and he gets an interception. And then he throws right there into coverage, and that led to another touchdown by Seattle.
Martin under pressure from Cochran gets rid of it, complete to Holt again. Holt crossing the field, out of bounds at the 5-yard line.
This again is that shorter pass and then relying on Torrey Holt to get some run after the catch. The other thing that you do have to remember that late in a game or any game, when you have a 20-3 lead, defensively you play looser. You play looser in your coverage. You let things happen in front of you, and you force the other team to work their way downfield with those shorter passes.
1st and goal for the Rams. Martin calls timeout with the play clock winding down. 4:08 remaining. 3rd quarter here in Seattle. Rams trailing by a 20-3 score. 1st and goal for St. Louis when we come back. Mark for a team record 6th time. Also ties Henry Ellard's team record. And there's Ellard, the Rams wide receiver coach, with his 4th consecutive 1,000-yard season. Bruce only 2 catches today, however, for 34 yards. On 1st and goal, Martin rolling right, throws to the end zone. Bruce, the intended receiver. Willie Williams on the coverage for the Seahawks.
Well, Martin does an excellent job with the play action fake, and he gets outside the contain. And that's one that Isaac Bruce, you expect him to make. Ball again thrown just a little bit behind Bruce. And I think Willie Williams' hands forced Bruce to lose his concentration.
Bouncing to the outside is Falk, and he's stopped by Willie Williams.
Well, this Seattle defense came to play against the run today. They've been hurt all season. Teams have got big plays against them in the run. They've worked the ball down the field against them in the run, but not today. The Rams' run game has been pitiful against these guys.
Marshall Falk only 13 yards on 9 carries. 3rd and goal. Martin to the end zone, and the catch is made for the touchdown after the deflection by Torrey Holt.
Anthony Simmons is just shaking his head because he got his hand on this football. Here's Simmons right here. Watch, he drops underneath, gets in the throwing lane, tips that ball, and that actually puts the ball into Torrey Holt's hand. So that one bounced right, just right for the Rams.
Holt's 4th touchdown reception this season. The Rams are within 10. Tip coming this February. NASCAR on Fox returns the 45th running of the Great American Race, the Daytona 500. Tony Stewart leads the world's best drivers. Mike Joy, Darrell Waltrip, and Larry McReynolds return for another season of high-speed racing and fun. The Daytona 500 drops the flag on 15 weeks of NASCAR coverage returning this February only on Fox.
And Kenny, good news for the Rams and Rams fans and the Bolger family. Mark Bolger has a negative CAT scan. He'll return home to St. Louis tonight with the team. There's no fracture in his back. So Jamie Martin in his stead. 2 interceptions on the day, but atoned a little bit on that last play there for the touchdown pass to Torrey Holt, although really Anthony Simmons tipping that ball was the thing that put it into Holt's hands. And you know, you talked about Jerry Glanville, my old coach, and how he said if you ain't cheating, if you ain't trying. He also used to say, I'd rather be lucky than good. The Rams were lucky on that play.
On the return for the Seahawks, James Williams brought down at the 23-yard line. Good coverage by the Rams special teams. Nick Sorensen, who was a quarterback at Virginia Tech, and then Michael Vick came along. Switched to the defensive side. Probably a good move by Sorensen.
Prolonged his career.
Now in his second NFL season. Well, a huge one next Saturday on Fox. If the Giants win, they are in. Eagles unbeaten since Donovan McNabb went out back in mid-November.
I think the Giants win that game. That is a must-see game.
They'll be playing at home. Hasselbeck going deep, looking for Robinson, who makes the catch over Trey Bly.
That is big time by Corin Robinson. He dropped the first pass thrown to him today. Since then, he's been spectacular. Matt Hasselbeck puts this thing up, and watch Corin Robinson just get his hands on that ball, the concentration, and rips it out of Trey Bly's hands.
45-yard pass play. Corin Robinson playing Can You Top This?
That's big.
With his former North Carolina State teammate, Torrey Holt, who just scored the Rams touchdown. From the 33, pass deflected by James Whitley. So it will be 2nd and 10.
Well, we talked right at the beginning of this game, Kenny, about Matt Hasselbeck and how he has come on so strong in these last 4 games. And I said, you know, you have to realize he's gotten better protection. Chris Terry has helped them shore up the offensive line, and we've seen that protection today. And then I said he's got some young wide receivers with Darrell Jackson and Corin Robinson who have really come on and been a huge asset to him, and Corin Robinson has been spectacular.
Hasselbeck complete to the fullback Heath Evans, his 6th reception this season for a gain of 7, setting up 3rd down and 3.
Hasselbeck told us last week before the Seahawks victory against the Atlanta Falcons that he felt like they had a young group here that had something to build on. And even though they were out of the playoffs, their record was 4-9. And he said, we want to look at these last 3 games as the beginning of next season.
Hasselbeck on 3rd and 3, complete for the first down to Bobby Ingram, his first catch today. And all the offensive players, all the Seahawks players we spoke to certainly hope that Mike Holmgren is back as their head coach next year.
Well, I don't think there's any doubt that Mike Holmgren will be back. And as Jimmy Johnson said on the pregame show, not only will he be back, he'll probably retain his general manager status. And I think that will happen. And Mike Holmgren told us last week, unequivocally, use that word again, that he wants to continue to be the general manager. And he felt that he had spread enough of the responsibilities to other people that he could handle both jobs effectively.
Jeremy Stevens, tremendous effort down to the 4-yard line.
Now, speaking of Holmgren and his personnel decisions, there's a personnel decision right there. Jeremy Stevens, a 1st-round draft pick. A lot of people questioned that, but remember, this is the West Coast offense, and so the tight end is integral. And we have seen Jeremy Stevens make some excellent catches today and be a real threat on the inside of that passing game.
1st and goal from the Rams 4. Alexander split to the right. Hasselbeck to the end zone looking for Stevens.
Well, that was a timing pass that was unsuccessful. But I got to tell you, all day long, and on this drive in particular, the precision of Matt Hasselbeck has been impressive. Remember, he had the 3 drop passes earlier in the game. Otherwise, his statistics would be even stronger than they already are. But he has thrown the ball well. He's made good decisions, but for the one pass that was almost intercepted by Dre Bly.
Now 2nd and goal from the Rams 4. Hasselbeck to the end zone. Sean Alexander, the intended receiver this time.
Let's take a look at some of that precision by Matt Hasselbeck, throwing the short crossing route to Corin Robinson and then putting one up deep to Robinson, hitting Jackson in the seam, hitting Stevens in the seam. So Hasselbeck, with time, again, just proving how dangerous he can be.
Now 3rd and goal for the Seahawks. Final seconds, 3rd quarter. Hasselbeck into the end zone, broken up by James Whitley. So the Seahawks will send out the field goal unit. And the umpire, Garth DeFelice, is down.
Well, we talked about Hasselbeck's pocket mobility, and as the pocket starts to disintegrate, he goes on the move. Grant Wistrom is actually gets the hit on him just as he releases this ball.
And then Leonard Little involved in the collision with the umpire, DeFelice, who also grew up in the San Diego area with referee Mike Carey and Rams head coach Mike Martz. Nine seconds to play, 3rd quarter. Seahawks leading 20-10. And the Seahawks will set up to attempt a field goal.
Well, here's Garth DeFelice right here, the umpire. And you see Leonard Little just tries not to pop him, but does. You think about how fast things happen in the center there. I'm surprised more umpires don't get popped.
DeFelice back on his feet as we check in with James Brown in Los Angeles.
All right, Kenny, and take a look at what Green Bay did today, keeping alive the hope that they may have home field throughout the playoffs. Brett Favre hooking up with Donald Driver for that 11-yard strike. Brett Favre, boy, we know when the temperature is cold there, he is 35-0. Green Bay on top. Back to Kenny Albert and Tim Green.
Thanks, JB. And JB, I loved your comment today about Tony Dungy, and it was very appropriate, and it didn't surprise me that it came from you, and that is that being nice, being kind doesn't mean being weak.
Tony pointing out that unlike some other head coaches, he sat down for the interview with Terry Bradshaw.
That's right. He was nice.
Brian Lindell hits from 22. Lindell is now 3 for 3 today. And Tim, JB told us about the Packers clinching the division, joining the Eagles, Buccaneers, and 49ers as division champions. All 4 of those teams are coached by former Mike Holmgren assistants.
And I think each one of those guys would attribute part of their success to Mike Holmgren and the way that he coaches, the way he approaches the game, and certainly at a record that's less than 500 right now since he's been in Seattle. It's been a disappointing run so far here in Seattle for Mike Holmgren and for the Seahawks and for this entire franchise. But you've got to say this about this season. Holmgren has tried to put together some young players, and I know, and you know, we talk to coaches all season long, and the coaches that lose, most of them have major injuries that they cite. But I think if you broke it down statistically, you would see that the Seahawks have had more starters miss more games than anyone else, and not only starters, but really key starters.
And the word Mike used was nightmare. He said it's been a nightmare injury-wise on the defensive side, and the Seahawks have been forced to use 20 different starters on both offense and defense this year. Troy Edwards back deep. Lindell following his third field goal. Short kick taken at the 19 by Edwards. Edwards out to the 39, a 20-yard return as the third quarter comes to an end here in Seattle. A 13-point lead for the hometown Seahawks.
And 2 eyes made out of gold.
Seahawks leading the Rams 23-10 as we get set for quarter number 4. Tim, you played in many games without playoff implications. What goes through a player's mind when the game doesn't have any bearing on the playoffs, but you're still out there to have fun, right?
First of all, I resent being an expert on this subject, but it is true. And you know, I always marvel at the way people are looking for a motivation for players in these last few games. I mean, you're a football player. You're playing in the National Football League. It's a thrill. It's an honor. It's like nothing else you ever do for the rest of your life. And the opportunity to go out and play a game and win a game is a thrill. And you know, yeah, the playoffs are something that you want. You know, you want to be in the playoffs, and that's every team's goal. That's every team starts out the season. Hey, you know, our goal is to win the Super Bowl, go to the playoffs, win it all. But still, you know, you're playing football, and both of these teams out here today, I mean, they just want to win. They want to win because they'll go home tonight, and you sleep a little bit better. And when you wake up in the morning, you know you're going to be sore as heck. But the injury and the achiness goes away a little bit quicker when you win the football game.
And Mike Martz told us last night he could not believe how many people have asked him, why is Marshall Faulk going to play with the ankle injury? And Mike Martz says because this is what he does. He plays football.
Yeah, well, I think for anybody inside the game, it's almost laughable because, you know, it's such an honor and it's such a thrill to be out there on a Sunday in a uniform, in an NFL uniform, and competing against the best athletes in the world.
Well, sorry that I brought you in as the expert.
Yeah, well, that's
I'm missing the playoffs, but you're the only guy up here with me.
I did go to the playoffs once.
Once in what, 8 years?
Yeah, once in 8 years. Come on, let's move on here.
Well, the Rams went to the playoffs the last 3 years. They will not this season, as they go 3 and out on this drive.
Yeah, and the Seahawks bring the blitz. They bring the safety blitz. It's Doug Evans who comes clean and gets the immediate heat on Jamie Martin.
So Mitch Berger will punt for the second time. Bobby Ingram is back deep for the Seahawks, who lead 23-10 early fourth quarter. Punt lands out of bounds at the 31-yard line. Only a 26-yard punt by Berger. The Space Needle and Santa Claus here in Seattle.
Looks like a pretty young Santa.
Looks like a female Santa. Is that possible?
Anything is. We're in Seattle.
Alexander. Well, anything possible considering the plight of the Tennessee Titans, who started the season 1-4. They've won 9 of their last 10 and are the only AFC team to have clinched a playoff berth.
And then San Diego, who started out so hot, they're still alive, but dropping to 8-7. And you know, it's interesting on the pregame show this morning to hear Terry Bradshaw and Tony Dungy talk in Terry's interview, and they were teammates in Pittsburgh. And I like Tony Dungy reminded Terry that, you know, in Pittsburgh, Chuck Noll talked about not winning early, but winning in December being the important thing in the National Football League.
Hard hit by Robert Thomas on Max Strong.
That was a brutal hit.
And the Titans, Tim, who lost to the Rams in the Super Bowl following the 1999 season, they fell 1 yard short. Titans not sending any players to the Pro Bowl, yet they have clinched a playoff berth in the AFC.
And you know that Jeff Fisher, who's an excellent coach and an excellent motivator, used that to turn up the heat under his players this weekend.
Third down and 7. Hasselbeck complete. Jeremy Stevens makes his 4th catch for a gain of 13 and a Seahawks first down.
More protection, more accuracy, and more talented young receivers downfield for Matt Hasselbeck. Watch it here. It starts with this protection, the huge throwing lane. Hasselbeck has time to read it. And there's Stevens open downfield. Comes down to make that catch.
Short Alexander. Good second effort down for the Rams. 45. Alexander gains 8.
You know, certainly this run here late in the season for Matt Hasselbeck suggests that Mike Holmgren really did know what he was doing when he made the trade and got Hasselbeck out of Green Bay. Hasselbeck then a backup to Brett Favre. And then Hasselbeck last year, one thing I don't know if a lot of people realize, but I think a lot of his downfall at the quarterback position was because of his own injuries and trying to play with injuries that limited his game and hindered his ability to play at a top level.
Trent Dilfer 4-0 last year for the Seahawks. Hasselbeck started the other 12 games. This year, Dilfer started 6. Hasselbeck handing off to Heath Evans. And the fullback gains 3, brought down by Robert Thomas at the Rams' 38-yard line. Seahawks have scored 10 of their points today off 3 Ram turnovers. Seattle looking to win for the 6th time this year. Hasselbeck 241 yards in the air. Hasselbeck looking for Darrell Jackson. He's got it. Touchdown Seahawks.
What a throw. What a throw. The Rams came with the blitz, and they got beat with the blitz. Excellent protection again by the Seattle Seahawks offensive line. And then Hasselbeck just launches a perfect pass. We told you Darrell Jackson was talented. He beats Fisher. He adjusts to the ball. The Seahawks are running away with this one.
38 yards. Hasselbeck to Jackson for his 3rd touchdown this season. Jackson in his 3rd year out of the University of Florida, where he played for Steve Spurrier. He was the 15th wide receiver drafted in 2000, and he's had tremendous back-to-back seasons for the Seahawks. Missed 3 games earlier this year, suffered a concussion in Dallas. Lindell adds the extra point. The Seahawks pulling away. They lead the Rams 30-10. Back in Seattle, Matt Hasselbeck and the Seahawks now leading the Rams 30-10. Hasselbeck connecting with Darrell Jackson for a 38-yard touchdown pass. Seahawks will finish up next week in San Diego, while the Rams will host the 49ers on Monday night. Short kickoff taken by Edwards at the 21. Brings it out to the 39. Keith Miller, former Ram, brought him down. Fun time in Seattle. And the sellout crowd enjoying themselves. Seahawks leading the Rams 30-10, 4th quarter. Jamie Martin for the injured Mark Bolger. Injured his back early in the 1st quarter. From the 39-yard line. Martin complete. Isaac Bruce out at the 45 for a gain of 6.
Kenny, a reminder that Mark Bulger, after throwing one pass today on this sack, was taken off and taken to the hospital where he was MRI'd. That was negative, so there's no broken bone in his back. He will travel back with the team tonight. And it was really interesting talking with Mike Martz yesterday and just hearing him rave about Bulger's qualifications to be the quarterback for this Rams team.
Martin complete. Torrey Holt first down at the Seattle 39, a gain of 16.
And the thing that Mike Martz said, two things that I thought were fascinating. One was that Bulger had a quicker release than any quarterback in the game. And the other thing that he said was that his arm was actually stronger than Kurt Warner's. And that's saying a lot, because Kurt Warner has one of the stronger arms in the game of football. And if you think back over the last couple of years, some of the throws that he's made, that's saying something.
On the 39 on first down, Martin chased by Randall, and the pass incomplete off the fingertips of Ernie Conwell.
You know, the one thing that Bulger, we don't know if he has, and we know that Kurt Warner has, is the ability to play big in big games. And Kurt Warner did that. He's proven that he's done that. But I think the biggest question for the Rams and for Kurt Warner's teammates are, how has this season affected his confidence? I think worse than having an injury and trying to come back from an injury is the significance of a faltering in someone's confidence. And I don't know if that's happened with Kurt Warner or not. But if your confidence fails in itself, and then if your teammates' confidence fail in you, then it becomes time to start over and to give a guy like Mark Bulger a chance.
And Mike Martz told us last night the team has rallied around the 25-year-old Mark Bulger.
Well, I think they were energized by Bulger. Players are incredibly superstitious. These are guys that you wear the same clothes, you shave the same from right to left. If you won that week, you do all the same things. And so a guy that's 6-0 in his first 6 games is not only hot, he's lucky. And players love luck.
Martin intercepted for the 3rd time. It's the 2nd pick of the day for Reggie Tongue. For Tongue, his 2nd 2-interception game this season. Had 2 in a game against Minnesota and 2 today against St. Louis. As we check in with James Brown in Los Angeles.
Kenny and Tim, the guy who was the hero today for Cincinnati, Nicholas Lucci, in place of the injured Corey Dillon. 13 carries, 59 yards in the 2nd half. That powered Cincinnati to the upset of New Orleans today. Back to Kenny. Hey, Tim, thank you so much. I agree with you on Tony Dungy 1,000%.
Thanks, JB. Hey, Nicholas Lucci wasn't part of Chris Collinsworth's plan to reformulate the Cincinnati Bengals, was it?
I think Susan Lucci was. Out to the 34-yard line. Pickup of 2 on first down for Alexander.
And we talked about the Saints earlier and how they went 0-4 in their last 4 games last season, got themselves out of the playoffs. And Kenny, this season they beat teams like Tampa Bay twice, Green Bay, San Francisco, but they lost to Detroit, Cleveland, Minnesota, and now the very lowly Cincinnati Bengals.
So now their playoff fate rests partly in the hands of the Saints and also with the Giants and Eagles. Complete to Corey Robinson. Fumbles it out of bounds. If the Giants lose to the Eagles on Saturday, the Saints will know that a win over Carolina on Sunday gets them into the playoffs. But if the Giants win, Saints will have no shot. If Atlanta wins as well.
Just another crossing route. Corn Robinson running away again from Dre Bly. Hasselbeck, another precision pass.
Hasselbeck, 279 yards. Already has 2 300-yard games this season. Alexander following Keith Evans down to the Rams' 44-yard line. Setting up 2nd down and 3.
Jamie Martin, obviously, he's struggled today. He's thrown the short passes pretty well, but anytime they asked him to try to stretch the field, they got that.
Rams quarterbacks, Tim, have thrown a league-high 25 interceptions. Warner threw 11. Martin has been picked off 8 times. And Bulger 6 interceptions. 2nd down and 3. Evans up the middle, stopped a yard shy of the marker. It will be 3rd down and 1.
I remember Mike Holmgren said to us yesterday how happy he was for Matt Hasselbeck to get a second opportunity, and not that he wanted to see Trent Dilfer get hurt and provide that opportunity, but Hasselbeck is certainly a gregarious, friendly guy, you know, and you could see how everyone would root for him. And then he's made the most of this second chance here in Seattle. And the way he's played over these last few weeks, I think he's won this crowd back. I think he's won the fans in Seattle back with his performance.
Hasselbeck slides for a 1st down. He rushed for 62 yards against the Eagles 2 weeks ago. Gained 7 on this play. Comes from a football family. Father Don, a longtime tight end with the Patriots and the Giants. His brother Tim spent some time with the Carolina Panthers earlier this season. Now a Philadelphia Eagle. Also a quarterback.
And there's a little bit of that mobility that we talked about, the pocket mobility.
Alexander down to the Rams 33. Gain of 4. Jeff Scanina with the tackle. Well, recapping what has taken place as far as the NFC playoff picture is concerned, all 4 divisions wrapped up by the Eagles, the Packers, the Buccaneers, and the Niners. 2 wild card spots remain. Falcons, Giants, and Saints are the 3 teams battling for those 2 spots, and it will come down to the final weekend. Falcons and Giants control their own destiny. Saints need help. Alexander down to the St. Louis 30 with under 6 minutes remaining. And the Seahawks comfortably on top by 20.
Seahawks hoping to erase everyone's ill feelings as to how this season started out. And we talked earlier, Kenny, about the tremendous amount of injuries that they had. And you saw Walter Jones, the Seahawks' only Pro Bowl player. Of course, he missed his first 2 games with a holdout, and that certainly hurt them.
Alexander tackled for a loss. Seahawks started the season, Tim, 1-5, but a win today will give them 5 victories in their last 9 games. Their first year back in the NFC after a quarter century in the AFC. Cleveland leading Baltimore by 1 with a half-minute remaining at Ravens Stadium. Both teams still alive. Oakland out on top of Denver.
Interesting to hear on the pregame show this morning talk of Oakland possibly signing Deion Sanders out of retirement to play cornerback.
Former teammate of yours in Atlanta. Four and a half remaining here in Seattle. Kenny Albert with Tim Green. Seahawks Stadium is sold out. And the Seahawks with a 20-point lead. They will go for it on 4th and 7. Seahawks have to get to the 27-yard line for a first. Hasselbeck complete. First down to Bobby Ingram, and Matt Hasselbeck, Tim, goes over the 300-yard mark for the 3rd time this season.
And even though Hasselbeck has shown excellent rapport with Corin Robinson, Darrell Jackson, Jeremy Stevens today, he told us last week that he feels like his best chemistry is actually with Bobby Ingram.
Ingram missed last week's game in Atlanta with the ankle and toe injuries. Hasselbeck 303 yards in the air as the Seahawks move the chains with under 4 minutes to play. Alexander, 1 yard pickup. Seahawks will make it 6-9 with a victory today. Their third win here at home. Rams will drop to 6-9. And 1-7 on the road. Rams with only one road victory in Arizona. Last year, Tim, St. Louis went 8-0 away from home.
Cleveland beating Baltimore by a point.
Browns now 8-7. Back strong, penalty marker. As we check in with James Brown.
Hey, Kenny, you talked about Baltimore. Take a look at what happened here. Cleveland coming up had started on its own 8, went 92 yards. Tim Couch hooking up with Mark Campbell on that 1-yard strike with 29 seconds left. It is now a final. Cleveland still in the hunt for the division title, believe it or not. Back to Kenny and Tim.
All right, JB, so the Cleveland Browns defeat the former Cleveland Browns in Baltimore. And the Browns will host Atlanta next Sunday, with playoff implications for both teams. Second down and 5. Alexander looks to turn the corner. No gain.
Well, Kenny, Matt Hasselbeck, as you said, over 300 yards today. 303, 1 touchdown. He has had help from his young receivers. Jeremy Stevens down the seam, getting wide open. Corin Robinson. How about this catch? Just ripping the ball out of Dre Bly's hands on the long pass. And then even Darrell Jackson on this seam route. He makes a nice catch in the end zone. So really everything we talked about from the very beginning with Hasselbeck and his maturity and his grasp of this offense and his level of confidence has proven to be true in this game.
Alexander knocked out of bounds with 2:08 remaining. Today's game being produced by P.T. Navarro, directed by Peter Bleckner, our associate director Fran Morrison, broadcast associate Gary Kloster, the technical producer Kevin McRobey, pregame show produced by Scott Ackerson, directed by Bob Levy. The studio technical supervisor is Jack Simmons. The senior producer is Bill Brown. The executive producers of Fox Sports, Ed Goring and David Hill. Crunching the numbers for us in the booth, Ben Bulma with Mark Berryhill. Down in the truck, Mark Cole and Michael Fox. Another fourth down for the Seahawks. 2:08 remaining. 4th and 1. Two fullbacks, Strong and Evans. And the give is to Heath Evans. Clock winds down to the 2-minute warning. Two touchdowns today for Sean Alexander, leading the way for Seattle.
How about the Jets? Self-destructing. But their young quarterback, Pennington, and we've seen two young quarterbacks today, Hasselbeck and for a brief time, Mark Bulger. But Pennington, second-rated quarterback in the NFL, behind only Mark Bulger.
Pennington out of Marshall University. He was Randy Moss's quarterback at Marshall, finally getting his chance this year. And when you talk about the Rams quarterback situation, a lot of it depends on the health of Kurt Warner.
And another interesting note about the health of Kurt Warner and really the rest of the Rams quarterbacks, Mike Martz told us yesterday that all his quarterbacks are going to be thoroughly MRI'd and analyzed from top to bottom. to just see exactly what their injury status may be. So you can see just how seriously Mike Martz is taking the Kurt Warner injury incident from earlier this season.
Jamie Martin on first down, complete to Isaac Bruce. And he's going to send them out west, right, to California, to a doctor who's not familiar with their prior medical history.
Well, that's what he said. And he said I kind of did a double take and said, well, what if they don't want to? And he said, well, they're going to be, they will be MRI. They will be thoroughly assessed.
Part of the program.
And I said, well, what if they don't want? What if they really don't want to? And I think he knew where I was going, and he said, no, this is not a confrontational thing. These guys aren't going to care.
Number 33 is declined. The play results in a first down.
He certainly didn't expect any resistance.
Busy evening on Fox, Tim, except on the West Coast. Futurama, followed by King of the Hill, The Simpsons, King of the Hill again, Malcolm, and Andy Richter tonight on Fox. More penalty flags with 90 seconds remaining.
Offense, number 62. 5 yards, still first down.
The 12th St. Louis Rams penalty.
12th penalty, Kenny. They had 4 turnovers, and that turnover situation epitomizes the season for the Rams.
42.
They're brought up to 42, the most in the National Football League.
Minus 18 turnover ratio.
And it really is almost impossible, despite the high-powered offense and all the weapons, and despite a pretty good statistical effort from the defense, which came in here. The Rams defense today ranked 8th in the NFL, but almost impossible to overcome those turnovers and those kind of miscues and end up in the playoffs.
Rams ranked 8th both offensively and defensively. The only other teams in the top 10 on both sides of the ball: Philadelphia, Denver, and Pittsburgh. Jamie Martin, 28 of 44, 238 yards, but he's been picked off 3 times. Complete to Troy Edwards, running for the sidelines. Out of bounds with 1:20 left.
And I think, in fairness to Jamie Martin, the Rams, with an injured Lamar Gordon and injured Marshall Faulk and Trung Candidate having fumbled early on in the game, kind of left them really without much of a run game option. And I think Jamie Martin is a quarterback whose efficiency that we see today, the kind of efficiency he has, could go hand in hand with a potent run game and be pretty good. But the Rams did not have that run game today. And a lot of that credit goes to the Seattle defense. Chad Eaton ran about 30 yards around the field to make that tackle downfield on that.
Rams 10 points today, Tim. Now 285 on the season. Pales in comparison to their last 3 years. Only team in NFL history to score 500 points or more 3 consecutive seasons. This year averaging under 20 per game. Kurt Warner traveling with the club despite having been placed on IR.
I'll tell you one thing that Kurt Warner has not lost is the affection of his teammates. I mean, you talk to players and coaches alike, and there isn't one guy that has anything to say about Kurt Warner that isn't good.
Well, you just look what he's done the last 3 seasons. He's put up incredible numbers.
And I think he's done it, too, with the modesty and a level of humility that's really impressive. I mean, you know, you saw Austin Benson, the kid from Make-A-Wish here earlier, and I saw Kurt Warner run from one corner of the field to the other so he could get in on that picture for that young man and help make his day.
2-time NFL most valuable player, and I think, you know, aside from the turnovers and the injuries, another thing that epitomizes the Rams season, Kurt Warner and Marshall Faulk have been fully healthy and on the field together from start to finish in only 2 games this year, the first 2. That has been it. Rams, of course, lost their first 5. Double pass to Edwards, and it's Simmons once again, as he has done all game long, in to make the tackle. What a game for Anthony Simmons.
Well, he is an impressive player, and his speed is just jumps right out at you. Watch Anthony Simmons right here in the middle of the screen, and look at him accelerate right to the sideline. It's impressive. He's had a great game today.
And now Martin is taken down by Tim Terry. Lost the football. It's the 5th Rams turnover. First sack of the season for Terry. Recovered by Chad Eaton.
Well, Tim Terry's working on St. Clair, and he just beats him to the outside with speed. It puts the hit on Jamie Martin, who grabs his knee and struggles off. It has been a long, rough day for Jamie Martin. You know, with his last few moments here, Kenny, the other thing about Bulger, and I know he went out early in this game, but the other thing that really impressed me about him was the way he prepared for games as a backup week after week, hoping that he would get that one chance and knowing that each week might be that chance. And then when he got it, he was pretty doggone well prepared.
Threw only 1 pass today, injured early in the first quarter. Rams lose in a Mark Bulger start for the first time in 7 games. But Bulger was only in there for the early going. Mike Holmgren and the Seahawks win it by the score of 30-10. Both teams now 6-9 on the season. We'll return to Seattle after these messages.